Much. Well, tomorrow President Obama is heading to Cuba and preparations are already underway. American products and memorabilia arriving on the island just ahead of the visit. Now tonight, some want the president to use this visit to seek the return of American fugitives who are hiding in Cuba. Fox 5's Joe Tui joins us now with more on this story. Good evening.
Hey, Antoine. Not since Calvin Coolidge has a U.S. president set foot on the island of Cuba. Now, as President Obama is normalizing relations with the island nation, we're reminded that on some issues, the countries separated by just 90 miles are still worlds apart. When Air Force One touches down in Havana tomorrow, there'll be plenty of pomp and circumstance celebrating normal relations between two countries who haven't had them in 50 years. But for Joe Connor, tomorrow isn't a day to celebrate.
It says that this country's not serious about fighting terrorism.
In 1975, his father, Frank Connor, was killed when New York's Francis Tavern was bombed. The man responsible, William Guillermo Morales, was caught, convicted, and imprisoned, and then escaped from Bellevue Hospital and wound up in Cuba, where Connor says he continues to live as a guest of the Castro regime. Connor's been working for 25 years to have Morales sent back to the U.S. to face justice.
I think he's low-hanging fruit to bring back. What I think Obama needs to do, and I'm not hopeful that he'll do it, is tell the Castros he will not further anything more in Cuba without the return of these terrorists, period.
And Morales isn't the only local convicted criminal now walking the streets of Cuba. In 1973, Joanne Chesimard, who now calls herself Assata Shakur, killed New Jersey State Trooper Warner Forster after a traffic stop in East Brunswick. Like Morales, Chesimard was found guilty, put in prison, escaped, and lived underground until fleeing to Cuba in 1984. The troopers haven't forgotten.
I believe that all those considering travel to Cuba need to be aware that 4 dangerous fugitive terrorists are living free and protected on the island.
They also tweeted this wanted sign featuring Chesimard, Morales, and 2 others wanted by the FBI. All this as the White House says they're working with the Cuban government to bring these fugitives back.
We have raised our concerns with the Cuban government repeatedly that there are fugitives from American justice that have sought safe haven in Cuba, and we are seeking their return. I can tell you that there has already been a law enforcement dialogue established between our 2 countries to seek the return of these fugitives so they can be brought to justice.
Now, when President Obama speaks in Cuba, it will be broadcast live on state television there, and he is expected to meet with political dissidents when he's in the country. Missing from his schedule, however, is a meeting with Fidel Castro. He will not have any FaceTime with the 89-year-old ailing former leader. Instead, Antoine, he will deal with his brother Raul, who, of course, is the leader of that country.
Very interesting, right, Joe Tui? Thanks for being with us this evening. In Russia.